Hey everybody, it's Nikki with Delicate Tension Tarot. This is going to be a reading for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, or if you just have a lot of heavy Taurus in your chart, or you could be having interesting transits happening in your houses in Taurus as well. As always, it's a general reading. Take what resonates, whatever doesn't, just leave it be. If it's not your reading, it's not your reading. You can always check your Moon, Rising, Venus, or like I said, if you have any other heavy influences in your chart that you know of at this time. This will be for the energy around November 1st through the 15th. We will be having a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio through that time period. It starts on October 31st. We also do have a new moon in Scorpio on the 27th. I will probably be doing a video update for that and try to keep it as short as possible because we all know I'm a little long-winded. But yeah, this Mercury retrograde process is going to be very intense and deep because really this is our opportunity to wrap things up and move into that new energy that's starting to align for us for 2020. Numerologically, 2020 is a 4, so it's about building really strong foundation, stability. It's really going to be about, you know, setting it up, being proper. Take that as you will. So use this new moon to really think about what it is that you can't carry with you into that energy and what you want to grow in that energy. So let me kind of do my thing and see what it is that I see visually first. This is a really funny representation. It's quite comedic too, so maybe that's the outlook you're gonna have to take. I do see frustration being an underlying energy in that. But I hear that song, I'm Walking on Sunshine. But at the same time, the imagery of you is like being super stoked, walking on sunshine, but at the same time carrying so much. So it might even be about you having to understand that you can still be happy while carrying a lot of responsibility. I think it's good though. I think 2020 is going to be really great. Not just for you, but for a lot of people as well, because I think that's really when we're stepping into this fully new energy of a new decade. The possibilities can be endless. Hopefully this can be a time for you to wrap up or really address what needs to be addressed before moving into that, because I do think that if you don't address it, it could kind of get in the way of what you're building. So please keep that in mind. I think that's what the baggage pertains to. So let's go ahead and see. I think there might be some things that because I just saw the High Priestess in reverse and the Four of Wands. I think there could be, if you are carrying a lot, I think you're going to be discussing that more, or how you feel. I think whatever you've been internalizing or keeping hidden will start being revealed within the home, or even within whatever set or setting that is stable for you. So it could be in the home and workplace, although it does feel very centered around home. I do think that in order to really have a solid setup for what it is that you're building, you're gonna have to start learning to express. You can't keep things hidden, and you can't keep things deep down all the time. And I think too, you might be addressing some unhealthy patterns or behaviors that have been keeping you stuck. I think you're moving out of it because it's not very strong here with the Devil and the Eight of Swords in reverse. I think you are no longer allowing certain things to control you. But I think now, as I said, it's going to be about you really communicating that. Communication is key here. Communication is key. I think the more you step into that stable energy, the easier it's going to be for you to communicate too, because you're going to have a sense or feeling of power or control. Yeah, so the Devil in reverse wants to come out again. I think you're letting some unhealthy stuff go, whether it's people, behaviors, patterns. Definitely is going to be patterns because we have the Wheel of Fortune, and it has been a source of anxiety for you in the past. It could be, more often than not, the Nine of Swords in the upright is self-imposed anxiety. It is worries and concerns over things where it's you're overthinking it. Nobody's necessarily doing this to you. It could even just be remembering, because that swords are communication, so it could just be remembering things that have been said to you in the past and replaying those things over and over in your mind whenever it did come to this Devil energy. And the Wheel of Fortune, to me, at times can be a record or a broken record. It's either playing or it's skipping. Or it's going in reverse. So, like I said, you're coming out of this energy, so I like that. Although if we are backtracking here, you'd be going back into the Seven of Swords. And if I'm looking at that with the High Priestess in reverse, if you're not going to communicate these things, they're going to end up coming out in ways that you don't want them to. So that's why I'm suggesting please communicate. Don't let things blow up just because you didn't open your mouth. You have the ability to really take control here, so I would do that. With the Wheel of Fortune turning, I do think it's turning in your favor. Yeah, Ten of Cups. I think you're setting up for a very solid, stable, if not a home and family life, then a life for yourself in which you really can have what you want after clearing through these obstacles or these things that were holding you back, or just things you really needed to get control of. Yeah, you have Justice here. So I think things are playing out in your favor because you did the right thing. I think you stepping up and doing the right thing is really going to pay off for you. And I think that the more you see that, the easier it's going to be for you to keep that healthy pattern in your life and not revert back to this behavior. And I do think you're thinking about it. I think there's a lot of things that you've had to think about. I think you've also been paying attention to the things in your life that you might have been overextending yourself or giving too much of yourself to, and it was taking away your time and attention from things that could have been important to you. Yeah, you've definitely been thinking about where you've been investing. Nice. I think it also might have been a situation of push coming to shove, and you coming out of this Knight of Pentacles energy, which oftentimes is waiting and just kind of marinating on what's coming next, whether it's a opportunity for making more money, whether it's an opportunity to commit yourself to something further. But I think with the King of Wands, it's very boss energy to me. It's someone who takes charge. It's someone who takes action. They know what they want and they're gonna do what they need to do to get it. And I think that's what you did with the Page of Pentacles reversed and the Page of Wands. I think you stood your ground on something and you expressed what it is that you needed, and because you expressed what it is that you needed, you got that good news handed to you, and it's something that you can look forward to with the Page of Wands because it's a very exciting energy. It's energy of knowing that you're going somewhere. You don't exactly know where you're going to end up, but you're happily taking on the journey in front of you. I think it's great. I think this is really good energy for you, and I think that's why I heard the whole like I'm walking on sunshine thing, because I think that really is where you're headed. And it's not to say that you're not going to experience some hiccups or difficulties along the way, because I do think with this being your center focus, you are going to be challenged by repeating old patterns and behaviors, even though they don't have as much control over you anymore. It's almost as if you have to revisit them to get the final say. This is really great for you guys. I feel like in the readings I've been doing for you for the past couple of months, there's been this element of coming to terms or getting a grip on yourself. And in a way too, it's almost like you have been balancing out the energy of what you essentially are, which Taurian energy can be quite stubborn. It wants what it wants, and it wants it to have it its way. It doesn't really bend very easily, but I think that you've found ways to make sacrifices in that aspect, as well as it's not necessarily that being stubborn isn't good for you. I think it's about what you're stubborn with. Persistence does pay off in certain situations, and I think with this, you learned that persistence can only go so far, especially if it's this thing of you repeatedly working on something, expecting a certain outcome, but little did you know you actually had to speak up and say what it is that you needed in the situation in order to actually get it or achieve it. That's why I feel like communication, I feel like I already said this, so I apologize, but it bears repeating. I feel like communication is so important for you, and I think you're learning that. I think you learn or are learning that in expressing your needs and expressing what it is that you want or what you deserve, and putting up the argument with the facts at play of saying, hey, I deserve this because of X, Y, and Z, it's easier for your case to win, right? If the facts are there, if what is truthful is there, then it's easier for it to rule in your favor. And I feel like you're going to start applying that to a lot of things in your life. Because at this point in time, not only is it for you, not only is it easy for you to express your truth, but it's easy for you to stand in your truth because you're actually doing it. You're not holding anything back. You're not lying about anything. It's just you coming clean and stating, hey, this is the truth of the situation. I know that this is what I'm doing, and I'm not going to sit here and settle for less because I know that I'm being honest. I think it's beautiful. It is fantastic. So let's pull some clarifiers here. We have the moon for the devil in reverse. So I do think that if there has been any confusion for you, the moon sometimes, especially paired with the devil, can be about substances or mind-altering substances because it's something that places a veil of illusion over you. So I think that mentally, the more that you step out of this energy, the clearer things become. The sun is illuminating the night. So there's something here where these things aren't going to have as much of an influence over you anymore because of the fact that you're getting so clear. Let's clarify the... Now with the Nine of Swords in reverse and the Ten of Cups in reverse with the Eight of Cups in reverse, you could have been very, very concerned or worried or kind of very scared that you were going to lose your happiness or that it was never going to get to a good point. These two cards often represent somebody walking away in order to find something that makes them feel better. So it could very well have been you being afraid of someone leaving you if you didn't correct this behavior. Now let's clarify the Seven of Pentacles here. We have the Four of Swords. Whatever it is over here, it took you a lot of time and you had to think about it for quite a while before you actually could express it. Even though I do feel like the expression of it was unexpected, it just seemed like the perfect time, the perfect place in order to open your mouth. And I think in that moment you decided that there was no more time for thinking, it was time for speaking. Let's clarify the Knight of Wands, or the Knight of Pentacles in reverse and the Page of Pentacles in reverse. We have the Page of Wands and the Five of Cups. Yeah, I think in expressing the fact that you felt like you were giving so much and getting nothing in return, I think it really was hurting you. I think emotionally it was affecting you in a very big way. And that makes me want to go back to the concept of, I think there have been a lot of areas in your life in which you felt powerless. I think you felt as if emotionally you weren't getting what you needed. And when that continued to happen, maybe that's where this energy came in, this kind of unhealthy energy for you came in, because of how unhappy you were. It's very escapist. It's like you had to escape this feeling. You had to escape the feeling of either not being good enough or never getting what it is that you deserve, never getting recognition, never receiving what it is that you needed. And I think whatever came in, whatever it was that was said to you, you needed to hear, but I feel like it took you speaking up first. Yeah, because we have the Three of Swords reversed, so now you're in this period of healing. And now you have something to focus on and think on instead of maybe talking about it with other people. Let's clarify the King of Wands here. Whoa, too many. Yeah, whatever this was really frustrating you. That's a lot of cards. You could have had encouragement to speak up on this. There could have been someone helping you or someone you were talking to who was assuring you that if you just got out of your head and if you just said what needed to be said, that you could get what you wanted or you could achieve what you desired. And I do think that it played out well for you. I think taking that person's advice was needed. I'm glad you really listened to what was being said. Let's clarify the Wheel of Fortune here. Yeah, you're going to go from feeling a lack of being in control, a lack of being stable, a lack of being able to support, to really being able to be in that power and that energy. I'm really proud of you guys right now because this has been difficult. Let's clarify the Ten of Cups energy, please. We have the King of Cups and we have the Hermit. Yeah, you need to emotionally start speaking up a little more. I think you keep a lot of things to yourself. And it's really funny because I think in your mind, when you look at it inside of yourself, in your mind, it's better to not speak up about emotional matters or things that matter emotionally to you because you feel as if it's going to rock the boat in this situation. And I don't think it is. I do think it's wise for you to think before you speak. I think it's wise for you to really marinate on what it is that you feel and what you want to say, because I do think there could be issues here with the Emperor in reverse of possibly flying off the handle and speaking from a place of selfishness instead of selflessness. And with that being said, when I talk about selfish energy, it's not that I'm calling you selfish. It's that sometimes we want what we want and we desire it so strongly that we get very hurt when people challenge that or people tell us that our needs are stupid or that they don't matter. And I feel like that just makes it worse for you, which is why you could be in this Hermit energy with the King of Cups, like keeping your emotional needs quiet. Just don't. Like I said, the more honest you can be, I think the more things play out in your favor. And with Justice, we have the King of Wands. You're getting exactly what you need through speaking up and through taking action. I'm going to be very clear on that. You need to continue doing this because it's very important for you to step into this energy. And you're moving towards that. I think 2020 is when you're officially going to be in the energy of the Emperor. The Emperor is ruled by the number 4, which is what 2020 goes down to. So I think that as the season is changing, as the year is changing, you're going to be taking this energy and it's going to go from reverse into the upright. It's going to change. Things are changing in your favor. And I think you really do need to be looking forward to that. And I think you need to be applying yourself in that way. Yeah, we have the World. You're completing a major cycle here. You're going from, I mean, essentially someone who takes action and knows when to take action to actually leading others. You're going to dictate the actions that other people need to make. That is the difference to me between the kings and the emperor. The kings take action for themselves. The emperor dictates the actions that need to be taken. And let's clarify the sun here. We have the devil. Yeah, I think that's that baggage I was talking about. This is a repetitive thing. I think you need to address a different way to get your emotional needs met, or to deal with your emotional needs. Because there is an element here of, it's not that you do not value and love yourself, but I think in moments that you feel devalued, you revert back to this behavior. It's definitely a coping mechanism. But at the same time, I think there's this illusion that it has some form of control over you when it doesn't. And that's why I'm really happy to see, first of all, so many kings here, but then the emperor, because I think that's changing. I think you're really learning that you have control. And I think that the more that life shows you and kind of gives you this taste of that power or that authority, the more that you're going to actually take control of yourself and your life. I think you might lead others too. I think there's going to be other people around you that you're actually, the easier it becomes for you to communicate and stand in that authority, the easier it's actually going to be for you to help others kind of achieve the same thing you're achieving. I think being able to stand back and see the way that this experience has played out for you and the things that you've done that really helped you, you're going to be recommending that to others. Kind of like telling other people to get off their duff, right? Like, oh, okay, you're going to sit here and complain about shit all day, or you want more, but you're not doing anything to achieve that. Well, get the fuck up. Do something about it. That's the energy you're going to be taking on. I really like this for you, but just keep in mind, I think for the remainder of the year, you're going to be having the sun shining clarity on the unhealthy patterns or things that still need to be dealt with, and just make sure you take the time to deal with them, and I think you will. But I think too, there's something about that. There's something about dealing with it that feels very uncomfortable for you on an emotional level. Because I think with there being multiple streams coming out of the Ace of Cups here, I think it's like it trickles into so many different things. Essentially, it's all the same pool, but it's like all these separate streams go to different places. So I feel like to tackle one thing, you have to tackle them all. And I think that's where it gets overwhelming for you. But just remember, you're stepping into this energy and this power, so utilize it. Utilize this energy in a creative way to really take control of your life. I think you're leaving the past in the dust for sure. There is a part of you that is kind of being resurrected out of this energy. It's really funny. Now, with seeing the naked man, I'm not saying you're going to be like walking around naked, but metaphorically, there is this part of you that is going to start walking around in your truth. And it's going to be easier for you to speak the truth. And the easier it is for you to speak the truth, the more you can live in it. The naked truth, right? It's going to be easier for you to dictate what you need to dictate in order to be happy with yourself. Good stuff. I'm really loving this reading. Maybe for this 2-week period, there could be challenges around that. Yeah. Okay. There could be energy either you are a father, or you are looking back at your father's energy, and maybe your father wasn't like this, and maybe that's the difference, is you're seeing how you have to be different from your father, especially with the creator being there. You have to paint a different life than what your father either painted for you, or the kind of life that you saw your father have. And I think there is something difficult about that for you. But yep, heart's going to be in here, because as much as you love your father, I think you realize that there was some sort of river that he never crossed. And I think he stayed safe within the confines of who he was. And essentially that means never really changing and things always staying the same. And I think for you, you're seeing how you can actually change your life. And that's huge for you. I think for a while you might have been in this energy of just feeling as if people don't change, therefore you can't change, therefore, you know what I'm getting at. But I think you're changing, and I think that stepping into this energy, you're going to be going with the flow a whole lot more. This is going to be an easy process of progress for you. It's almost like muscle memory, right? The more you do a thing, the easier it becomes to just instinctually do it. And I think that's what's happening for you here. Okay, Taurus, so thank you for joining me. I really hope this reading resonates with somebody out there, because this is beautiful. This is great. If you haven't watched your other videos, please do, because I feel like this is connected to the same exact storyline, and it's fantastic seeing the way that you've been growing and moving through these changes and really taking these opportunities that are being presented to you. If you would like a personal reading with me, you can contact me at delicatetensiontarot@gmail.com, or follow me on my Instagram at delicatetension. Both of those are down in the description box below. I will be, well, I guess this is pointless now. In the future, I'm going to start timestamping my videos in the comments, just because I feel like not everybody wants to hear the whole beginning process of me explaining what's going on. And then some people just bypass the whole thing with like the intuitive sense or what I'm seeing, even though I feel like it is important because it ties into the reading. So I will be segmenting that so you can know when to start the video, and you can bypass things if you don't feel like hearing me talk. So yeah, have a fantastic beginning of November. I think this is going to be the kickoff energy for you for moving into next year's energy. So take it. And I mean, I really feel like you need to take it all. Okay, see you guys next time.